Happy morning, students. Welcome to grade 6 English class. Today, we are going to have a revision for our upcoming early examination. Children, this is our part 2 revision for the early examination. In the part 1, we have recalled the prose, that is unit 6 to unit 10. Now, today, we are going to recall the poem from unit 6 to, that is unit 10. For the first of all, we are going to recall our sixth poem, The Wonderful Words. Let's recall this poem, children. Listen carefully. The Wonderful Words. This is our sixth poem. This poem was written by Mary O'Neill. It is the name of the poet, Mary O'Neill. She was born on 16th February 1906 and she was died on 2nd January 1990. She was a children's writer and poet. She was born in New York City. She attended the Western Reserve University and she was a master at using rhythmic words to convey feelings and had a great power of word choice. This poem, children, that is The Wonderful Words. In this poem, look at the title, Words. Words help us to express our thoughts. The poem wonders how one can imagine the beauty of this world without language and appropriate use of words. How can we imagine the world? They are the vehicles of thoughts, and it's an art if one is able to express properly and meaningfully. According to the poet, that is Mary O'Neill, English is an interesting language. So, everyone should read and learn it. But it is essential that ideas are expressed with right words. Otherwise, the meaning of the idea will be lost. Words act as food and dress for thoughts. They are like a key to a prison to set air through, that is our thoughts free. This poem, that is The Wonderful Words. This poem is all about the role and importance of language and the language skills to shape the ideas of the mind. Look at this poem, children. The first three lines, that is, never let a thought shrivel and die for want of a way to say it, for English is a wonderful game. Here, the poet is saying that never let an idea or thought die. In other words, never let it go without giving it expression. Just because you don't know how to speak or how to use the right words. English is a very rich language full of treasures. Now look at the next line, children. And all of you can play it, and all that you do is match the words to the brightest thoughts in your head so that they come out clear and true and handsomely groomed and fed, for many of the loveliest things have never yet been said. Here, the poet says that all of you can play it, which means everyone can use it effectively. You can find the perfect words for the thoughts or ideas in your head and give it a clear expression so that people can understand it clearly and nicely. Don't think that you cannot do it. There are yet many good things, the most beautiful ones, which have not been said and done just because of lack of nurturing, lack of words and knowledge. The poet is laying stress on learning a language correctly and completely. Now look at the next stanza, children. Words are the food and dress of thought. They give it its body and swing, and everyone's longing today to hear some fresh and beautiful thing. But only words can free a thought from its prison behind your eyes. Maybe your mind is holding now a marvelous new surprise. Listen, children, here the poet says that words give a structure to any thought or idea in our mind. The poet is saying that never think that we do not have any thoughts. They are yet to be explored and searched. They yet need to come through. Thoughts and ideas are caged in our minds. If anything can set them free, that is words. Words alone can give clear and beautiful expression to thoughts and ideas. Words alone can earn them prize. So, it is a must to learn and perfect our language. Look at this poem, children. Can you name the poem and the poet of the above stanzas? That is this stanza. Yes, the name of the poem is The Wonderful Verse and the poet is Mary O'Neill. Why should the words match the thoughts? The words should match the thoughts because many of the loveliest things have not yet been said. Children, can you identify the rhyming words from the stanza? Look at the first stanza. Can you identify the rhyming word? Yes, head rhymes with fed. H-E-A-D, heard, rhymes with the word fed. Children, according to the poet, what could be the surprise in the last line? Yes, according to the poet, surprise in the last line of the poem means a marvelous new idea that lies in our mind. Listen, children, here the poet says that man is a gifted animal who can think and speak. Every man knows at least one language as it is a must to give expression to thoughts, ideas and feelings. All people think as well as speak. The poet advises the readers to work on their language and learn it skillfully. The poet says that we all know one language at least. We all have a mother tongue, so we must have good command over it. We should not let any idea go or fade just because we don't find the right words for it. Rather, conscious effort should be made to find words to express it clearly. It might be possible that idea does wonders. English is a wonderful and rich language. One can express one's thoughts in this language without any hesitantly clearly way. The need is to look for the correct and right words to express our ideas clearly. It is a wrong to think that there are no more good thoughts left to be expressed. The most beautiful way to give expression to our thoughts or ideas is our words. Everyone loves to hear new and good things. The only thing is that we need to master the language and find the right words. Every thought is like a prisoner or a caged bird in our mind. We can set that idea free with the help of words. It is quite possible that the thought may be marvelous. Now look at the next poem, children. Vacation. This poem is written by Rabindranath Tagore and displays a child's yearning and wishes. Rabindranath Tagore was born on May 7th, 1861 and he was died on August 7, 1941. He was popularly known as Gurudev. He wrote many poems, novels, stories and drama. In 1913, he won the Nobel Prize in Literature, the first Asian ever to win this prize. The poem, that is, it speaks about how a child is unaware of the harshness connected to daily life and gets attracted to various things in life. This poem, children, talks about a child who wishes to lead a free life and to do what he likes. When he walks to his school, he meets a bangle seller who is free to sell his bangles and goes from place to place at his own will. The child wishes he could be like the hawker. On his return from school in the afternoon, he sees a gardener digging the ground, soiling his clothes, but he feels that the gardener is his own master. He never gets a scolding or punishment for dirtying his clothes. The child wishes he too were a gardener. Before going to sleep at night, the child sees the watchman on duty. The man with the lantern is guarding the lanes all night. The child again wishes he could take the place of the watchman and do freely what he liked. Now look at the first two lines, children. When the gong sounds 10 in the morning and I walk to school by our lane, every day I meet the hawker crying, "Bangles, crystal bangles." The child said that when the gong struck and made a sound to declare the first part of the day, it was 10 o'clock. He said that this was also the time for him to go to school. On his way to school, he used to watch a salesman who would shout, "Bangles, crystal bangles," to sell his bangles. Look at the next line, children. There is nothing to hurry him on. There is no road he must take, no place he must go to, no time when he must come home. While looking at him, the child, that is the poet, had a thought that the vendor was free. He was in no hurry to reach anywhere, unlike the child who had to reach his school on time and back home. He thought that the bangle seller was free of any time place foundation means he was free to move to any place unlike him. He felt as if he was under strict observations and the vendor was enjoying complete freedom. Look at the next line, children. I wish I were a hawker, spending my day in the road crying bangles, crystal bangles. Thus, he was so impressed by his freedom that he wished to be a hawker. He wished to move freely and shout just like him in the streets. Look at the next line, children. When at 4 in the afternoon I come back from the school, I can see through the gate of that house the gardener digging the ground. The child, after coming back from school at 4 in the afternoon, noticed the gardener through the gate of the house. He would peep out and notice him digging soil. Look at the next line, children. He does what he likes with his spade. He soils his clothes with dust. Nobody takes him to task if he gets baked in the sun or gets wet. I wish I were a gardener digging away at the garden with nobody to stop me from digging. Here, the child was attracted by his freedom to be in the dust and do the things of his choice with his tools. He thought that the gardener had the freedom to dirty his clothes with the soil, play with his tools, stay in the sun for longer hours, get wet with the sweat or do anything, and he was not getting any punishment for all this. Whereas, if he would have been punished for all this. So, completely unaware of the hardships of that worker, he was attracted to be a gardener to do things of his choice and no one around to stop him. Just as it gets dark in the evening, look at the next line, children. Just as it gets dark in the evening and my mother sends me to bed, I can see through my open window the watchman walking up and down. The lane is dark and lonely, and the street lamp stands like a giant with one red eye in its head. At night, his mother would send him to sleep in his room where there used to be an open window. From there, he would notice a watchman walking here and there from one side to the other in the dark, lonely street. He also had a lamp in his hand which looked to him like a superhuman with a red eye in its head. Look at the next line, children. The watchman swings his lantern and walks with his shadow at his side and never once goes to bed in his life. Here, he could move his lamp from one side to another. His shadow was also visible on his side while he walked. The child thought that the watchman would never have slept at night all his life. Look at the next line, children. I wish I were a watchman walking the street all night, chasing the shadows with my lantern. The child was so attracted to his moves that he wished to be a watchman who could walk all night in the streets, running after his shadows with a lantern in his hand. So listen carefully, children, that this poem speaks about his wishes, that is a child's wishes and attractions. It shows the state of his wearing but innocent mind. The poem is about how a child gets attracted to the ways of people around him and finds different and attractions in their lives. He is not aware of the tough routine they have to go through. It also shows his innocence and lack of worldly sense. Now look at the last second line. Can you identify what is the figure of speech mentioned here? Yes, it is simile. Looking at the verb, that is the like a giant, we can identify that here this figure of speech is mentioned as simile. Lamp stands like a giant. Here, two distinctly different things, lamp and giant. Compare the word like. So here the word compared, that is a like, is used to compare between lamp and giant. So here we have used the figure of speech as simile, S-I-M-I-L-E, simile. Lamp stands like a giant. So here we have used in this poem, we have used the figure of speech as simile. The next poem is What If. Look at the title, children, What If. This poem was written by Shel Silverstein, who was born on September 25, 1930 and died on May 10, 1999. He was a renowned American poet, cartoonist, playwright, songwriter, and then screenwriter also. He was also well known as an author of children's books. Recipient of 2 Grammy Awards, Silverstein was also nominated for Golden Globe and Academy Awards. Listen carefully, children. This poem is written from a child's point of view. Children have their own doubts and fears. They imagine unpleasant things and situations that may or may never happen to them. In the poem, wild thoughts trouble the child. The child worries about what if he or she gets sick and dies, if he or she doesn't grow taller, if there is poison in his or her cup. That is, if his or her parents get divorced, etc. The child's mind is full of such negative ideas and many more, but in the morning everything seems fine. When the night time comes, the child's imagination starts going wild again. The what ifs fill his or her mind with worry and anxiety. Look at the poem, children. What if I dump in school? What if they have closed the swimming pool? And then what if I get beat up? What if there's poison in my cup? These are the questions again and again rises in the mind of the poet. Listen carefully, children. Who is the speaker in the poem? Yes, the poet, as a child, is the speaker in the poem. Can you name things that the speaker is worried about in the stanza? Yes, the poet is worried, thinking about his doubts and fears, like if he keeps mum in the school, if the swimming pool has been closed, if he is beaten up in the class, and if there is poison in his cup. Can you find the pair of rhyming words here, children? Yes, school, pool. SCHOOL, school, rhymes with the word pool. POOL, pool. And then taller rhymes with smaller. TALLER, taller, rhymes with the word smaller. Children, what do you think is the speaker's that is a fear about lightning? Yes, the speaker is afraid of a bolt of lightning because he thinks that it can strike him. Can you name the speaker's fears about his or her head and height? The speaker's fear about his head is, what if his head starts getting smaller? He just imagined. He also fears, what if he is not growing taller? I find the rhyming words in the last para, children? That is give any two rhyming words, children, with this. Yes, bite, B-I-T, bite rhymes with fight, and then kite rhymes with the word flight, K-I-T-E, kite rhymes with the word flight, F-L-I-G-H-T, flight. And then, what is the speaker's concern regarding his or her teeth? The speaker's concern regarding his teeth is what will happen if his teeth do not grow in straight. So, he is worried about his teeth. What makes the what if to strike at night time only? At night time, the child's mind starts going wild. It is his what if thoughts that strike again and again due to his worry and anxiety. The next, swell, SWELL, swell in the last line means, that is a swell in the second last line means. What is the meaning of the word swell? SWELL. Here in the second line means there is a swell. Swell means fine, FINE, fine. Here the poem What If, that is this poem is written from a child's point of view only, children. That the children have their own doubts and fears. There are times when fears and doubts fill our minds and we begin to think, what if something unpleasant happens? The poet has written this poem about it. Last night, I lay in bed thinking, I wondered what would happen if I'm dumb in school. What if they don't let me enter the swimming pool and beat me? Maybe someone puts poison in my cup. Who knows, I might start crying, get sick and die. Am I going to fail the test? There can be other mishappenings. I may grow green hair on my chest and am disliked by all. I may be a victim of lightning. I may not grow taller and instead begin to grow smaller. The wind may tear my kite. There may be a war. My parents might get divorced. All such ideas go on increasing in number, and the poet remained disturbed. So, children, take your honeysuckle book, recall the poem that is from Unit 6 to Unit 10 for your upcoming early examination. Learn the poem, its meaning, understand the poem, and then learn its rhyming scheme, rhyming words, and also the figure of speech which we have learned and we have practiced in the poem. So learn thoroughly and do your exam well. Thank you.